Woman's gold led to her brutal murder as police in Samut Prakan nabbed the killer within 48 hours. On Saturday afternoon police brought the man back to an overgrown area near a fish pond in a nearby village where he had discarded a bag containing the knife used to kill the woman, bloody clothes and empty boxes which previously contained the gold he had stolen from the condominium unit in a building where he used to work. When opened, police sources say the bag reeked of blood, telling its own tale of a horrific crime. Police in Samut Prakan arrest a man who brutally murdered a young woman in a planned robbery that went wrong last Thursday morning. The case, which was solved within 48 hours, was one driven by greed and a lust for gold which the young woman was known to keep at her condominium in the Prapadang area of the province near Bangkok. Samut Prakan police escort 27-year-old Naranthamathawi back from a local fish pond in the Bangbo district area of Samut Prakan on Saturday afternoon after discovering a bag he discarded there on Thursday which told the story of mean and bloody murder. Thai police in Samut Prakan on Saturday brought a 27-year-old man to a local village pond area where he had deposited a shameful bag containing old clothes, a 10-inch knife and other items following a break-in at a condominium in the Prapadang area of Samut Prakan province on Thursday in which he brutally murdered a young woman. Earlier, on Saturday, police led by Police Colonel Kodiwat Luangwilai, the deputy police chief of Samut Prakan, had detained 27-year-old Naranthamathawi at another condominium he had rented, that morning, at the Bangsathong area of the province. Police commander in Samut Prakan established 2 teams of crack detectives on Thursday morning who quickly solved the disturbing case within 48 hours. Police Colonel Kodiwat said after police were called to the murder scene on Thursday, he had assigned 2 teams to work on it including experienced detectives. He explained that the murder followed what police believed to have been a planned robbery of the condominium by the accused who was aware that the young woman named Ms. Warren Sumac kept wealth there because of her penchant for expensive gold jewelry. Detectives established the killer had also been known to the deceased woman, having been her neighbor in the condominium next to her which was now abandoned and also having worked at the same factory where the deceased was known to have an intimate relationship with the owner. Kala's killer knew the layout of the building where the deceased lived as an employee but was also a former neighbor and co-worker of hers in the past. Police have made it known that the suspect had also worked as a maintenance man in the same building where the deceased lived, so he was quite familiar with the layout and nature of the building. They believed that he had planned the robbery of the deceased meticulously, but things went wrong when, for some reason or omission, he found the victim was still in her room when he entered it, in the early hours of Thursday 13 April last. After his arrest by police, the detained man frankly admitted to committing the murder and told investigators that he had broken into Miss Warren's apartment that morning believing confidently that she was not at home. He said he entered through a back window and was busy going through her belongings and searching for valuables when he heard the victim awaken in a startled manner. Miss Warren walked up to him, staring at him in the face in what he interpreted as an act of confrontation. He then told the officers he drew the knife he was carrying, but Miss Warren reacted by shouting and attempting to grab the knife from him and was injured in the process. Used a 10-inch folding knife to cut her throat in order to silence the woman when the struggle between them began when she confronted him in her apartment. In an ensuing struggle, he told police he had stabbed the young woman several times before finally slitting her throat in an attempt to silence her. He said he then continued his search in which he found several gold items including one gold wristband which he was able to sell for 60,000, of which he had already spent 20,000 when he returned and took refuge on Saturday morning at the Bangsathong apartment where officers turned up to arrest him. He explained to the police that he had a chronic methamphetamine addiction problem. Police, however, are convinced that this was a carefully planned crime in which the perpetrator had mercilessly murdered his victim when she surprised him with her presence in her own home. Bag found near a fish pond told its own murderous tale and contained all the evidence the police need to build a legal case against the woman's killer. On Saturday afternoon, officers brought the suspect who is facing charges including one of premeditated murder, back to a grassy area surrounding a fish pond in Village 5 of the Bangbo district and successfully recovered the bag that the culprit had deposited there after his callous actions on Thursday. When opened, the bag contained the soiled and bloody clothes of the killer which he was wearing on Thursday morning last, the 10-inch folding knife used to take Ms. Warren's life, still covered in her blood, and boxes that used to contain the victim's prized gold possessions. Officers described a stench of blood when they opened the bag, which was handed over to police forensic teams for detailed tests as investigators build a clear legal case against the killer. That afternoon at Mr. Naran's condominium where he was arrested on Saturday, officers found more gold jewelry which had not yet been sold and nearly $40,000 in cash, the price of the young woman's life in the mind of a killer.